Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Kids Church with Reverend Karen Bridges. I am a minister from Robertson Wesley United Church here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Today I want to talk a little bit about the act of giving and how we all give in different ways. But first I'm going to invite you, if you have a Bible at home, to find it so that you can look up some stuff with me. We're going to do a bit of an experiment today, and we're going to tell you another story. But first, I just wanted to check in with everyone. On Monday, I challenged everybody to a discipleship challenge where each day we would add something more onto the next day. So I have my chart here. So we talked about how, as disciples, there are a few ways that we can exercise and do the things that Jesus taught us to do. So on day one, we worked on the practice of prayer. So we tried to spend some time every hour taking a moment to remember God and to pray. And we could do that in different ways. Then on Tuesday, we called it the day of serving others. So we found ways to help other people. Wednesday was the day of compassion. How do we show people that we love them and that there's compassion in this world? So right now we're just checking in on our discipleship challenge, and you got a cross beside each time you did one of the tasks. And the idea was we kept adding something to the next day to the next day. If you're joining me today, I would love to know who is out there. So feel free to send me a message, say hello, if you are able to do that. Then today, which is Thursday, so Wednesday we showed some compassion, but today is Faith Learning Day. So I thought we would focus again on how we learn about our faith, which is through the Bible and through Bible stories, finding out more about who God is and what we're doing. And then tomorrow is sharing our gifts. So this will be a good exploration to prepare us for tomorrow, along with meeting the criteria of Thursday. So let me know how you're doing on your chart. So you can see I forgot to pray at 5 and 6 o'clock on Monday. I did clean on Tuesday. You get the picture. So I hope that you are keeping track and joining me in this challenge, because it's keeping me well in my soul. We need to work at our spirituality. We need to make sure that we are spiritually fit and prepared to do what we are called to do in this world together. So consider doing that on your own. So that was just a check-in about our discipleship challenge. If you missed it, go back to Monday's recording, and you can find all of those on YouTube as well as on our website. I wanted to start by singing a song that I really like. It's called We Are One in the Spirit. This song is one I learned when I was at camp. And yesterday was Earth Sunday, so we talked a little bit about how we can care for the earth. And this Sunday is Camping Sunday, and we're going to be doing something special for that as well. So I hope that you will join me. The chorus is the same. There's 3 verses, and they're fairly easy to learn as we go along. But the chorus says this: and they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. Because the most important thing that Jesus taught us was how we are to love one another as we would be loved. So we want to treat other people the way we would like them to treat us. And this song is to help us remember to do that. So, and they'll know we are Christians by what? By our love, by our love. And they'll know we are Christians by our love. We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. We are one in the Spirit, we are one in the Lord. And we'll pray that our unity may one day be restored. And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we And they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. We'll sing that again at the end of our broadcast, just so that you get used to the song. All right. So last week I was teaching you how to look up things in the Bible. And the Bible is one of the main sources we have for learning about our faith. The other source is our experience. So I mentioned that in the Bible, the United Church tends to use mostly the New Revised Standard Version, the NRSV, and that it has two parts to it, the Old Testament and the New Testament. And the Old Testament takes up this much room, and the New Testament takes up this much room. In the New Testament, the scriptures tell us about who Jesus was, what Jesus did on earth, and it starts with the books in the Bible. The four Gospels are the first books in the New Testament. And we know, because I've taught you the rhyme, that the order of the Gospels are this: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, Acts and Romans follow on. So sometimes in the scriptures, we will hear a story about what Jesus taught or did, not once, sometimes not twice, sometimes 3 times, sometimes even 4 times. So you're going to find that there are some stories that are the same, and well, not the same, but that each of the gospel writers tell that story. Now they're going to tell it in their own way. It's kind of like if you and I were to tell a story of something that happened to us, your version might be just slightly different than my version, because we might remember things differently, or it might have affected us differently. And so the story I wanted to share with you today is about a widow. So someone who had lost their spouse, their husband, was living on their own, didn't have a lot, but really felt that it was important to share what she had with others. Again, showing love for one another. So this particular story in the Bible can be found in 2 of the Gospels. So we're going to look at both of them because it's a really short story, and I thought we could compare and contrast the 2. See the difference between the 2 of them. So the first one we're going to look up is in Mark. So if we were to go to the Gospel readers, we know that Matthew comes first, Matthew, and then Mark. Mark is also the shortest gospel that we have in the Bible, and probably the earliest written, the earliest after Jesus. All of these were written down after Jesus' time here on earth with us. So we're going to go to Mark. So we find the book of Mark, and up in the top corner of your Bible, it shows us the name. Hey, Claudia. Shows us the name of the book that we are looking at this moment. And we're going to look up chapter 12, which is going to be the big, bold number in black, followed by verse 41 to 44. So Mark chapter 12, verse 41 to 44. So again, we're looking for Mark chapter 12. So I found Mark chapter 12. And we are going to read starting at verse 41, which is on the next page. Sometimes the chapters have a lot more verses than others. So this is called a widow's offering. Now, pay attention to the details, because we're going to read this story again from the perspective of a different gospel writer. And I want to see if there's any similarities or differences in how they tell this story. So in Mark's gospel, it says, "He sat down opposite the treasury and watched the crowd putting money into the treasury." So the treasury would have been like our bank, like a bank, going to the bank. "Many rich people put in large sums. A poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which are worth a penny. Then he called his disciples and said to them, 'Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the treasury. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all that she had to live on. So that's according to Mark. So the next gospel writer we're going to look at is Luke. So if we go in order again, it goes Matthew, Mark, then Luke. So it should be after Mark. So we're looking up the Gospel of Luke. And this time it's in chapter 21. So Luke chapter 21, so that's the big bold number. Chapter 21, verse 1 to 4. So Luke 21. What does it say here? It says, "He looked up and saw rich people putting their gifts into the treasury. He also saw a poor widow putting in 2 small copper coins. He said, 'Truly, I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all of them. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance, but she out of her poverty has put in all that she had to live on.'" So did you notice anything that was similar or different between the two that we just read? I mean, in both stories, we know that the widow had 2 copper coins. We also know in both stories that there were rich people and that Jesus was watching what happened. I would say that in Luke's gospel, it goes into a little bit more detail before it kind of starts with the story than in Luke's gospel. Luke keeps it pretty simple, actually, and just says that he looked up, saw rich people putting their gifts into the treasury. He also saw the poor woman putting 2 small copper coins, only worth a penny. Can you imagine? We don't even use pennies anymore. And I want to talk a little bit more about what did Jesus mean by this. So this is another one of those parables that we talked about yesterday. A parable being a story that Jesus told the disciples to help them understand an important lesson. And they're not always easy to figure out. So we're going to explore this in a little more detail. But first I want to show you, in church, you often see plates being passed down the pews. The reason we do this is because we gather what we call the offering as a way of helping the church to do what God has called us and asked us to do. Good morning, Richard. And different people will give money in different ways. Some people don't actually put cash into the offering plate anymore because they don't carry around cash. And instead they just get their bank to give the church money. Some people put in checks. They'll write a check. And others of us, including some of the children, will put in smaller coins into the plate. Ta-da! As an offering. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that after we do our experiment. I have an experiment today to deal with this story. So let's go over to our exploring spot. All right, friends, we are almost ready to have some fun. So I have in front of me a big bowl of water. I also have with me today a mixer. Now, I want to see what happens when we use the mixer in the water. What do you think is going to happen to this water? How is it going to impact the water when we use a mixer in it? Shall we check? Shall we take a look? I'm going to tilt you down so that you can see what's actually happening. All right, there we go. Okay, I'm sorry if you're crooked. All right, let's see what happens to this water when we add in the mixer. Is anything happening to this water, do you think? What's going on here? It's a better lighting. What do you think's happening to the water? Is it changing it? Is it making it thicker? Is it warming it up? What do you think? What kind of impact? Maybe I should turn it up a little bit. Well, it's definitely moving the water around. I'm gonna bump it up. Well, I think all it's really done is just spread water around my kitchen. It's still swirling though, which is kind of cool. But yeah, the water's still water. So today in that story, we learned about the widow who had 2 coins. And we know that Jesus thought that was really important and really good, and that what she did was amazing. So today, let's try adding in 2 squeezes of dish soap and see if that affects our water. What do you think? Should I try it? Let's try it. I'm gonna put in 2, there's 1, 2. I put in 2 squeezes of dish soap. Now, at first, what do you see? I mean, really all it's done is left a little yellow in the bottom where it was. Now let's try adding our blender and see what happens to the water. I'm gonna turn it on slowly. See if this impacts the water at all. Anything happening to our water? Should I bump it up a little bit? What's happening to our water? Oh my goodness! What's happening to the water? Look at it go! Woo! Wow! Dude, what happened to our water? It kind of looks like whipped cream right now. Isn't that amazing? Look at that. Look what happened to our water. Huh. So clearly adding soap to the water made a big difference. I think that's what Jesus was trying to say with the coins. That the lady who put 2 coins into the bank or into the church's treasury made a huge difference. And it was no different than, say, a person who gave tons and tons and tons of money. Both are important and both can change things. And so we've learned today by looking at this, how much even a little bit can change things. Each of us have something to give that's gonna make a difference in the world. In this case, we are going to be able to clean the world better than we had if it was just the water. If the widow hadn't given the 2 coins, this wouldn't mean as much. Now, Jesus said that what she gave was, or why she gave, or how she gave, was even more important than how the people with all the money in the world. Because she gave not because she had a bunch of spare money lying around. She gave because she knew it was important to give to other people. Now, we can give money. We can also give our time. We can also give people our talents. So for those of you who, like I've said before, are really good at entertaining people, you might do that. Some people are really good helpers. Some people help walk dogs. Some people are artists. Some people make things. Some people are bakers. There's so many ways that we can reach out and help people in this world. So I want you to remember the story of the 2 coins and how every little thing, even though it seems insignificant and small, is important to what we do here in the world. Remember that being a disciple is about finding ways to care for the world, to share what we have, which is why we're doing that discipleship challenge that I gave to you on Monday. So The important message in this parable today is that no matter how little or how much you are able to give, when we give, we can make a difference in this world. And we know that Jesus would be very proud and very happy and very supportive of what we do and give to others. So keep that in mind as you go through this week. I'm gonna switch you up again. Woo! Ha! So, shall we sing our song one more time? Just so that you can learn it and sing it with me. As I said, this Sunday is going to be a little bit different. So for Kids Church this Sunday, we're not going to use Zoom. We are simply going to go live because I have something special for you. It's going to be a very special kids worship service that I hope you will join me for. It's going to be at 9:30 as it always is, and I'm going to bring some friends with me. Well, not bring them with me, but I'm going to include some friends in our broadcast. So you're just gonna have to tune in at 9:30 on Sunday to figure out who that is. But let's sing our song again, remembering that the refrain is, and they'll know we are Christians by our love. And the widow showed love to all the people by giving what she could to others. We are one in the Spirit, we are one. So last question before we leave. Do you know what the offering goes to in the church? When we give every Sunday, the money that is collected is used to help pay for staff, to keep the building up. And our building is a place for our community, a place where we, during normal times when we're not in this physical distancing time, where we give bag lunches to people 3 days a week, where we have a food depot so people can pick up their groceries in a place that's closer to their home. We have our community dinners once a month. We also have our art studio where people are able to come and create together. We also have all sorts of other programs that are offered for people who are searching for a place to belong. And that's what I love about Robertson Wesley, is that we welcome all people, everyone's included, and that's how we show that we are Christian, because we are showing love for every person, stranger, friend, family alike. And we need to find ways to always give generously from our hearts. So friends, as you go from this place today, remember that you are not alone, that God loves you. Go in peace and serve this world in love, because whatever you do counts. Doesn't matter how big or how small. Everything you do makes a difference, and don't forget it. All right, friends, have a good day. Lee will be doing a last installment of Revelations today as book study about that. So if you're able to join her, that'd be lovely. If not, I will see you Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. Be there and let's have some fun. Okay, bye friends.